Butthole town. What goes up and around the corner. Butthole town. Well, we gotta get out of a butthole town.
What was that?
I just wanted to try something different.
Okay, well, I like starting the podcast with I just start recording in the middle of a conversation, and now you've thrown off the entire groove of the podcast.
I just want to see if anybody was listening to this in their car, and that just probably just threw them off.
That got them awake.
Yeah. Good morning, San Francisco. This is Butthole Town,
Vietnam. Yeah.
I'm Ben Sheffield. I'm the main host. This is Joel Knowles. He's also a host.
I'm the main host. I normally introduce
the host. I'm the main host.
Hey man, it's been a long day. Okay.
He's the co-main host.
I'm the co-manager to the assistant manager of the region.
Anyways, this
welcome
is
back everybody to episode number 22.
No, 23.
No, this is 22, Ben.
Wait a second. Are we really on 22? I thought we were on 23.
We're on 22 because every 11 episodes is a very special
serious,
episode.
Very special episode. Sorry. I was getting ahead of myself. It's that 22, or it's that Taylor Swift year. That Taylor Swift episode.
22.
I just want to shout out our Podbean right now. We're up to 16 followers on Podbean right now.
That's respectable.
And so we're going up and up and up.
We're never gonna stop.
Anyways, today's our very special episode, so we're going to be talking about some more serious topics today, but we're going to start it off with just some Butthole Town conversation.
All right.
Butthole Town conversations. I just wanted to talk about, and this is a small town thing, definitely, but there's certain buildings in small towns that just have recycled through certain things like a billion times. Like, we have a building in the middle of our downtown back home that has been probably 5 different Mexican restaurants, it seems like.
Yeah, at least 5 different Mexican restaurants.
And then it's been a seafood restaurant. It's been all these things, and then when you go home, you forget what it is now. There's been so many different things. What is
the only thing that changes in Butthole Town? You go home and it's I wonder what this building is today.
But they don't remodel much, so it's still looks like a seafood restaurant on the inside, but it's a Mexican restaurant now.
Yeah.
It's they left some of that ocean decor, and it's why? Why is that still here?
It's the walls are still blue with fish, and it's just a Mexican place.
There's also...
Oh, go
ahead. No, go ahead.
You go ahead. No, you go ahead. Okay.
Okay, no. I was... Oh, wait. Okay, you just go. Go.
Okay. I was going to say there's another building over on the corner across from the bank that has been at least 4 different restaurants, and now I think it's a loan office or something. It was a really nice restaurant, had a bar and stuff, which we don't have too many of in Butthole Town. And then it just closed down for no apparent reason. It was a poppin' place, and then it closed down. But years and years and years ago, it was a drugstore. It's all of this. Why is this all in this one building, and why does it always fail? So weird.
Yeah, certain buildings I feel are just cursed to never succeed as a business, and it's why? This was a great restaurant,
and it's a great location too. And it's
it's weird. But then there's also another restaurant. There's a pizza place that was probably 3 pizza places by this point.
Oh, yeah.
But it's on its 3rd or 4th pizza place building. Yeah. It's funny that they've kept it the same genre of food.
Genre of food? Is that a thing?
The food genre. They've kept the same food genre, and it's just funny that it's continued to be a pizza place. They haven't shaken it up. The owners are just oh, this has to be a pizza place.
Don't they still have the same decor? It's this old, awful Western decor.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna get to. It's for some reason it's decorated in John Wayne stuff, and it's why?
And then there's a stained glass train on one wall. It's what does this have to do with pizza?
They just wanted to keep a little bit of that, whatever the other owners... They just leave, one little piece in, and then they keep changing, one little thing.
Yeah. They just add, a new tile to the floor every time they come in. It's, laid to rest. It's a tombstone on the floor. It's it was this name from this date to this date, and you just keep adding them as it changes owners.
Yeah. And it's also, I also like the buildings that were like obviously used to be a Wendy's or obviously used to be McDonald's, but they like they rename it or whatever, and it's like the shape and the color is the same way. There's, I think, in a town near us, there's like a Waffle House that has changed a billion times, and it's like still that same shape of a Waffle House.
Yeah.
And it's just like, those are just really funny to me because you know what it was.
Well, that building that we were talking about last week, or the week before, I don't remember, where it was like a seafood, hibachi, sandwich place. That used to be a Wendy's, and then
it looks like a Wendy's still.
It was something else, and then it was that wing place.
Yeah, there was they named it, it was something. That's actually a funny story about a restaurant because whatever the restaurant it was after Wendy's, it was just like a name or something. All that they had, it's one of the restaurants like that one that failed there. It has too many options, right? There's like seafood, burgers, chicken, everything.
Yeah.
But like everything they obviously got from the grocery store next door. Like it was
so
like
bad.
frozen stuff that they just got out. They went across the road to the supermarket, got like some frozen like mushrooms and fried shrimp and stuff like that, and just like brought it over, threw it in the oven.
Yeah, they were supposed to be competition for Zaxby's with their great chicken fingers and all this stuff, and they were crap. It was so bad.
Yeah, it was awful.
It stayed open literally a month, and it was dead.
Yeah, it's got like it's always got that really big buzz where like you go by and you can't even like get in the parking lot for a few days, and then it's over.
Then it's done. Yep.
Yeah, because people figure out like, oh, this actually isn't very good.
Food is terrible. Yep. It's weird how that happens.
And we also we're notorious, not just for restaurants that fail back home, but for some reason the hospital back home has like a really bad rap.
Oh, dude, there's one that's in a town south of us. It was like this really big hospital, and it just closed down. Like, it's deserted now, and like vines growing all up through it and crap. Like, the middle of Georgia isn't. I guess it's just a bad place for hospitals.
Yeah,
because they fail like all the time.
It's funny thinking that like, oh, my kid broke his leg, and it's like, oh, sorry, we're closed. Yeah, we actually can't help him right now.
It's 5 o'clock. We don't take patients after 5. I thought this was an emergency room. Yes, between 9 and 5 p.m.
Yeah, later it's a Mexican bar and grill
and tax service.
Yeah, that'd be funny if like restaurants just leased out places, or like hospitals leasing out restaurants would be great.
That would be so weird.
Like it's a doctor's office during the day, but at night it's a poppin' nightclub.
That sounds like something that would go on in Atlanta.
Yeah,
some kind of weird.
There would be like a
like
strip club during the night, but during the day it would just be like an office building. Yeah,
that'd be so strange.
Pink Pony South doubles as Henry's Lounge.
There's so many tax offices or like tax services in our town too. Have you noticed that? There's 1, 2, 3.
There's a lot of tax
4,
places.
5, 6, 7 that I know of in our tiny little town.
Mm-hmm. And there's one that used to.
I don't even know if there's 7 people there to file taxes.
There's one that like there's one that advertises that it has like free internet too on the side of the building.
Internet
it's just like
cafe.
It's an internet cafe. It's like, what does that mean? Why do they call it a cafe if it just like they have Wi-Fi? I don't understand. Doesn't make sense.
What's the necessity of a tax office having Wi-Fi? What's so special about that?
Yeah, it's like, oh, you need to do your taxes here. Also, maybe you just want some free Wi-Fi. I don't know. We can't really help you with anything, but like you can come in and like watch YouTube, I guess. Yeah, we have really great internet. We set out some Keurigs.
I wonder
a few options.
I wonder if they brew the internet. It's like we have a craft internet, a cold brew internet.
Pick your plan. Pick your choice. Yeah.
Would you like cream with your internet?
I don't know why they call it a cafe.
I don't know. What's the definition of a cafe?
I don't know. I would think like cafe comes from like cafeteria or something like that.
I think cafe is a foreign word, right?
It's a French word. Yeah. Yeah. It's a French word.
Cafe definition. The definition of a cafe is a small restaurant selling light meals and drinks. So that's definitely nothing to do with internet.
Yeah, I guess they're selling light internet. It's not great internet. It's just light, small. You can watch a couple videos. That's it.
No vlogs, no movies.
You can log into your tax profile or whatever on their website.
You can check your email.
You can check your email.
That's about it.
Maybe receive a couple faxes.
Faxes? What's a fax?
Well, you don't need internets for fax.
What the fax is that?
But yeah, back to the hospital. Have you ever been to our hospital?
Yes, I did once. I fractured my ankle. Well, sort of fractured my ankle. Jumping out of a tree.
Huh.
It was like a hairline fracture in my ankle. So
but did you have any complaints about the service?
It was a little cold. I mean,
the coffee wasn't great.
The taxes were mighty slow, but yeah, I don't know. It seemed fine. There wasn't many people there. I don't really remember. I was like 7, so it's been a while.
Yeah, my dad had broke his ankle, and
what is it with our hospital and ankles?
When he jumped out of a deer stand, to his doom.
Jumped or fell?
He jumped because he kind of lost his balance and jumped, and then
To be
broke
able
the
to
ankle.
control it.
Yeah, but yeah, he went there, and they our hospital's a big like thing people just stop at. I feel like, and then they take you to an actual one. It's like, yeah, okay,
Yes, exactly.
we can't deal with this.
It's
Okay,
like-
send them up.
You just go
Send 'em to
there
another
for
hospital.
them to tell you that that's not something they can do.
Yeah, we can't fix you.
Yep.
They always have like one ambulance too. It's like literally just one ambulance. And
Yep.
so it's like, oh, this guy's hurting real bad over here, but we got to use it to transport this person. So like they're gonna have to wait. I would expect our town to like just pick up people in like vans now and then. It's like, okay, we don't have another ambulance, but we get a couple like
We got a
white
pickup
pedo-
truck.
We,
We'll just throw them in the back of it.
we the few white pedo vans that we're not using, so we can just pick up some people on that. They just pick them up and throw them in like the bad guys do in movies. Sometimes, you know, they just like drive up and pull up the door.
Well, wouldn't that be one of those?
Get in!
That'd be or like they come to pick you up and they're like, "Hey, we got all these medical supplies in here and all this stuff." It's like, this doesn't look like an ambulance. Yeah, we got drugs. Come on. It's like,
No, come on, it's fine.
these
Yeah.
are legal drugs. I'm not so sure. I think I'll just die here on this couch.
Oh, yeah.
Our town's so
Yeah, I don't
weird,
know.
man.
Oh, and I do want to say one more thing. From earlier, we had said something about doubling the Pink Pony South, and I said Henry's Law Insurance, and I stopped myself, and I was like, law insurance?
I thought you said lawn insurance. I was just
Yeah,
like,
no,
whatever.
I said law insurance, and I just like trailed off because I was like, that doesn't make sense.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, I don't know why I said that. Sorry.
Law insurance. Maybe we should start a company providing law insurance.
It's insurance on laws that you break. But no, to get more into a serious mode, we've got a little bit of our lightheartedness out. Now let's get our minds right
This is a very special episode, and we're going to talk about some real special,
to discuss some
serious
things. I don't know if didn't we mention mental health maybe in the last episode to some degree?
All the episodes start running together
Yeah.
after a while.
I don't know if it was the last one, but I feel like we did mention it in
Yeah, it
the
wasn't
last
too
one the
long
one
ago.
before. We kind of touched on it.
Right, yeah.
But we didn't really go too far into it. And just when I was thinking about it, it was like, well, our town, there's probably a lot of people that suffer from mental illnesses of some sort,
Yeah.
whether it be depression or like severe anxiety or
Yeah.
I don't know what
A lot
else.
of that kind of stuff.
a lot of that kind of stuff. And I would say I don't feel like well, in our town, I feel like in smaller southern towns, it's brushed off more than it would be in a bigger place, in a more metro area.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of it comes from like where we're from, people are really like take care of your own kind of mentality.
Not go to the doctor for things.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you're tough
Yeah.
enough, you can just tough it out. And that kind of thing, or like, and I don't mean this to sound bad, but like they're overly religious about stuff like that. And they're like, well, you just pray and
Right.
it'll get better. Well, not always. Like God uses medicine. I believe God uses modern medicine, doctors to help heal people. Like, why not?
Yeah.
And so I think sometimes people are overly religious about it, and like people really have like a chemical imbalance or something, especially with depression, where they really do need to see a doctor, and that's an important thing. And people just like, well, you're just probably not in the Bible enough. Well, that's not always the
Yeah,
case.
that's a good point. It's easy to blame people where it's just like, well, maybe you're not living right type thing.
Yeah.
What? Like, yeah. Yeah, it's something that is easily brushed off as somebody just being weird or crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe they actually do have some kind of issue that needs to be seen, but we just think, oh, they're just a little off, or they got something wrong.
Yeah, I think
I don't
one
know.
that really sticks out, and a lot of people don't notice, would be like Asperger's or something, where it's like a social disorder. And in our
and they
town,
just
would
become
be
weird
like,
kids.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
would just be the weird kids, and it's like that. I don't feel like in a more, like you said, metro area, I feel like people are more sensitive to that kind of thing because they're more supposedly inclusive. You know, they watch out for everything, and like the
And sometimes overly sensitive in a lot of places.
yeah,
You know,
but
it's like,
I think there are benefits to being aware to other people's plights. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I think that's an important part of especially mental health because it's so personal to people, and a lot of times it can be hard to spot.
Yeah, nobody wants their kids like treated differently than other kids and stuff like that. They don't want them to be put in like another type of class or something like
Right,
that.
yeah. It can be really
hard.
tough.
Yeah, it's tough to admit. Like,
Like my dad, he's suffered from depression a lot. Like not as much, it doesn't seem like, as he used to, but he used to be really bad and like wouldn't talk for a couple of days, like barely say anything and just kind of like stay to himself. And
yeah,
I think the reason like he's never sought help's because the way he grew up was just like, you're the man, you're supposed to be strong and all that kind of thing. And the old farmer's mentality, you know, just stick it out and that kind of thing. And eventually he does work through it, but it could be a month or 2 months. Like, you know, you never know how long it could be and how severe it could get. And I think a lot of that's just like our small towns mentality towards that kind of thing. And I think it would have been a lot of help, and still might be some help if he would see somebody about that. But I know he never will because that's just not the way he thinks and the way he was raised.
yeah. And then when you might go to the doctor to get seen about something like that, then you're looked at as like, oh man, they got some serious issues. They go to the doctor for
Right. And then
stuff that they don't need to go to the doctor for.
exactly. It's just
It's like, I've been depressed for 20 years and I've never seen a doctor.
yeah, all that kind of crap. Is like, well, probably not really depressed. And then you show up to church on Sunday mornings, and everybody's judging you from the back pews and that kind of thing too. You know, it's like, golly. And I'm not
Yeah, I
bashing
mean-
on the church. I'm just
No,
saying
no,
it
no.
just happens, like especially in a small town, because everybody knows everybody's business.
Yeah, and I mean, I've personally never. I mean, I guess I've been quote unquote depressed, but not any kind of depression that would need to be seen by a doctor or anything like that. And that's not me just saying that. Like, I know
Yeah,
it's not. I mean, you would know if it was some kind of depression where it was like, well, I need to like see somebody or talk to somebody, even if it's not a doctor, maybe just some kind of counseling.
yeah, right. I think
And not every. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that people need to be taking pills for everything.
right. No, I think a lot of it. There's like two types of addiction. There's not addiction, depression.
Depression.
There's two types of depression. There's like mental depression, so you're the way you think and that kind of thing. But there's also chemical depression, which isn't treatable by just talking through, you know, the stuff and helping you work through different
Yeah.
mental attitudes. So, yeah, like you said, not every kind needs pills and stuff. I think that's an important aspect to look
Yeah.
at too.
And I don't know if mood swings is like a type of depression. I mean, I guess it
can
is
be.
like severe mood swings, you know.
Manic
Some people really
depressive
suffer
type
from that kind of
stuff.
thing. Yeah, where it's just like 1 minute they're this way and the next they're way down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of that I have heard about being a much more chemical thing. It's like
Right,
they can't help it. They're just like all of a sudden.
Yeah, like
depressed for
one of
an
my
hour.
friends up here, he has some form of that. I don't know exactly. We don't talk in detail about it, but I know he takes medication for it because he has really, really highs and then really, really lows. And if he doesn't stay on medication, then like his moods are all over the place, and like it's not something he can control, and it just like it really, really gets at him, and it causes a lot of anxiety and stress and stuff. So he has to take medication for that. And when he's on medication, he seems perfectly normal. Like you would never know.
Right.
And
Yeah, and that's a good case of it, you know, working like it's supposed to.
right, yeah, and he did counseling too. So it's like some of it was mental, but then there was a lot of it that was chemical. So finding the balance between those two things too, it's always important.
I think it's definitely something to go see a doctor about, go talk to somebody about if it ever becomes a thing where you're thinking about hurting someone or hurting yourself.
Yeah,
It gets to any like
especially.
point like that, it's like, oh well, yeah, you definitely need to go see somebody. Because
Right.
That at that point, it's not something that just everybody goes through.
Right.
Sadness.
It's not a sadness, it's different than
Yeah.
that. I've experienced some degree of depression, like actual depression, not for long periods of time,
Yeah.
but like the kind of depression where you're just like, I don't want to do anything and nothing matters. Like I just want to lay here. I don't even want to exist. Like it feels like you almost don't exist.
Yeah.
And that's the way I've heard real depression described. And then I've suffered from, well, I'll say suffered from, I dealt with, in the past, I've dealt with dissociation. So it's like you're looking at the whole world through like a window pane. Like you are like watching your body do things. Like your brain.
Like you feel like that. You're not actually seeing yourself.
No, but like,
Okay.
like it's like you do something and it's like you're watching a film, like a first person film.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're watching a first person video game. Like you're going through all the motions and you're doing everything, but it's like you're not really there. Like your brain's disconnected from your body. It's super strange.
I've never even heard of that really described that way. That's wild.
I didn't know it was like a thing because I remember
Yeah.
feeling this from years and years ago. And I was like, some days
Like-
I just feel like I'm not real.
For a day or like.
Well, it's been, there was a one time, like maybe, it's probably been close to a year ago now, but it was that way for like a week or a week and a half. Some people deal with it for years, and thankfully I haven't, but I dealt with it for a few weeks.
So you just didn't even, like when you were a kid?
Yeah,
little
I have
kid
a
or
note
what?
on my phone from, see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. So my note said this was from 10/11/14. So this has been 3.5 years ago. And at the time I didn't know what it was. And this was my description of it. It says, days like today, I feel like my whole existence is a shadow on the wall that is my life. I feel like my body is present, but my mind is disconnected, viewing everything like it was a dream, totally lost in my own consciousness, unable to break through the barrier between my mind and reality.
Jeez. Good grief.
Yeah,
That's deep.
it's some freaky stuff, dude.
But does it become a depression? Like, do you feel sad?
No, you don't feel anything, and that's the worst part. It
So
sucks.
you don't feel emotionally like invested in anything.
You don't feel any kind of emotions. You just feel there. It's super bizarre. Like I remember, and the problem and the suckiest part about it is you're aware of it the whole time, or at least I am when I've dealt with it. Like I know that whatever is going on is wacky, and like I can see it, and I'm completely cognitively aware of it, and I'm thinking about it, and it's still like I can't fix it.
Yeah.
It's super weird because like I
And I mean-
remember thinking when I went through it like 6 or 8 months ago, like I said, whenever it was, during that week I was at a park and I was just sitting beside the water and I was like, I could get a phone call saying that one of my family members had died and I wouldn't even feel it right now, or somebody could tell me I've just won $1 million and neither one of them would make me feel anything. It's just super wild.
Yeah, that's not good.
No.
I guess though relating that to depression, it's a similar thing where a lot of people that are depressed are cognizant of themselves being sad, but they can't help it. They can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And you just realize like you're in this place or you're acting this way towards people, you're lashing out or something, but like you realize you're doing that, but you can't change it.
Right. Yep.
That's
It's
and I
super
mean
weird.
that's even happened to me in a very small dose. And this like if me being just a total jerk to people and like me realizing like this isn't depression, but me realizing how like rude I am to people or crude or whatever.
Yeah.
And then but me just not being able to help it. Like why am I being this way? Like I don't want to be mean, but then I am.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It's
weird
and
stuff.
That's kind of in a way being trapped in your own consciousness kind of thing where you're just like you're seeing yourself do these things. Maybe not as far as not being disassociated that far back or that far away type
Yeah.
thing, but realizing you're doing something and then just continuing to do it and can't stop yourself.
Yeah. It's super weird.
I don't know. That's wild though. That disassociation stuff.
Yeah, I watched a couple videos on it because I was like feeling it. I was like, "What is this? This has got to be something other people experience." I like Googled it and was like, "Yep, this is called dissociation, and there's people that go through this." But what's weird about it is it's associated with high anxiety. Like basically, what they've figured out as best as they can tell is your body becomes so overwhelmed with anxiety it like shuts down your emotions, so you don't feel anything.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was like between quarters or something, like super easy school load, not having any kind of real responsibilities. I was just like, going through life, doing whatever. It wasn't a stressful time in my life. I don't remember thinking that's really weird because nothing going on right now. So it wasn't like anxiety related to anything like that.
It says online it can be regarded as a coping mechanism or defense mechanism in seeking to master, minimize, or tolerate stress.
Yeah.
Including boredom or conflict, which is strange. That maybe you're just really, really bored.
I once thought I had mono for here. Turns out I was just really bored.
At the non-pathological end of the continuum, disassociation describes common events such as daydreaming.
Well, that's...
So maybe you just felt like you were in a daydream.
Nah, it was a little different than that for sure.
But that seems like something that could lead to like depression if you were like felt like that for a long time.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
You're like depressed that you can't feel anything.
Yeah,
and I guess that's when people get to the point where they're starting to hurt themselves and stuff because they want to feel something.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
and like that kind of thing is something that realistically probably no doctor in our town would even know how to, or even like a psychiatrist would know how to deal with that. They'd be like, not to discredit like their doctor, like all the time they spent in school and stuff, but it's just not something they deal with on a regular basis in like a town like ours. So that kind of thing would be just like swept under the rug. Like you just deal with it.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of major mental health like patients in a small town for some reason. And I don't want to. I have to tread lightly with the way I say this because it may or may not be true, and I'm just gonna put it out there. I would say it feels like to me, and even just like from stuff I've read, statistics show, it seems that in our small town, and there's a lot less people, granted, there's less suicide than I would consider in larger places, more metro places, but it is a lot less people.
Yeah. I would say there probably is less suicide because...
But I just never heard of it growing up. I never heard of people killing themselves, or at least it didn't seem like it. Maybe one or two people,
Well, I mean, I got some really dark stories about that.
I know the one person I knew from our town that did, one of the people was the woman that you knew that went to your church that time.
Well, I know two people. So, yeah, there was the woman that went to my church, which was super, like, out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, just floored our whole church. And our church is only, like, 35, 40 people at the most. And so it, like, really rocked us because nobody knew it. Like, nobody saw it coming or anything.
And it's not, I mean, it isn't common.
No. And then the other person was a guy that was really, really good friends with my dad. And he had all these plans and stuff. He was about to leave in a couple months, going out to like the Midwest to do some farm stuff or whatever, and like had lots of plans and stuff. And then we get a phone call the next week, and I think that was only like one of 3 times I've ever seen my dad cry, and he just squalled like a baby because it was so unexpected, and we never found out like a reason or anything. And as far as we knew, there was nothing going on in his life. Like he wasn't hard up financially. I mean,
right.
Everything seemed fine. It wasn't like he was under any kind of stressful situations. Really, I'm not sure what it was, but like,
yeah,
something like chemical depression is obviously something that's not really explainable by circumstances. That would be something like chemical, and being in a town like ours, like I said,
yeah, and there just
wouldn't be addressed.
It's tough to help people when there's no warning signs,
right? Exactly,
and you're not aware of it. That's why people have to help themselves in that kind of situation, because if they're not telling anybody, nobody else knows.
Yeah, I don't know. It's super complicated.
And those two cases were old. Those two cases were older people, right? I mean, they weren't young.
They were
people.
Both in their mid 30s, early 40s ish.
Yeah, and
It wasn't like teenagers or anything.
Yeah, and I feel like it's so common with teenagers now, though.
Yeah.
It's happening a lot with kids than older people.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know.
The brain is a strange thing. And if doctors can't figure it out, by golly, I'm sure we can't figure it out on a podcast.
Right. And and that's when people are just like, oh, well, call this hotline or whatever.
Right.
And maybe that would help. But I don't know. I feel like even those hotlines can only do so much.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
they're just people answering the phone like you and me. A lot of them.
And in those situations, it's really when people need Jesus. And it's not the kind of thing where like you don't need to get help, you only need Jesus. Well, no, get help and get Jesus. Like do as much as possible.
Yeah.
But that kind of thing is really where I think having that kind of foundation to fall back on is really what helps a lot of people get through those things themselves. Like you said, in some of those situations, you kind of have to help yourself. And I think that kind of relationship with God is vitally important to that.
You're right. Yeah. And it's with calling the hotlines and things like that, it becomes more, it's like you're feeling this, they're trying to help you with like loneliness, it seems to me. It's like, it's all about like, oh, you don't have anyone to talk to. Well, maybe they do have people to talk to, but they're still depressed. Yeah. Calling somebody on the phone isn't going to help.
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of people are just scared to admit to their parents and things like that if they're young people. Yeah. And so it is better to admit to that person online that they have issues instead of talking to their parents who don't understand type thing.
Yeah. It's super complicated.
It's super complicated. And every case is so different. That's why it's hard to even talk about it because, for this person it works, for this other person it doesn't.
Yep.
Everybody has their own issues. So
right.
I don't know. But yeah, I would to conclude the bit. It's not a bit. to conclude the conversation. I call everything we talk about a bit, but this isn't really a bit. To conclude the conversation, I would say though, to wrap back to how we started, it would help smaller towns to take it a little bit more seriously. Maybe school counselors doing a little bit more than probably what they're doing. I never even saw my school counselor.
I didn't even know if we had a school counselor in our town.
Right. So maybe if they would take a little bit more initiative to talk to kids instead of waiting for kids to talk to them, I think that would go a long way.
Yeah, you're right.
Because they just all sit up in their office waiting for you to go there instead of going to the kid.
Yeah, pursuing the kind of thing.
Yeah, so I think maybe even having like a little 1 hour thing on mental issues that like the kids can go to during lunch or whatever, or everybody has to attend type thing.
Yeah, like education about it for sure.
Yeah, the same way they make you go to sex ed. They could have a mental.
Yeah. I think that's almost more important these days.
It is, yeah.
It's like everybody knows about sex.
And all the kids are not listening anyway, so maybe try something else for a little while. Yeah. To another topic, we were going to talk about some Christian stuff. What we always the first time we did this very special episode, we called it Christian problems, but I don't think they're necessarily problems. Just some different
situations.
Topics to talk about, some different opinions, some situations that are going on. This last week, Joel, you did a big experiment involving Christian music. I'd like to hear it.
So, well, it wasn't just Christian music. So this past week,
I
challenged myself that while I was in my car, and I drive a lot, as you know, I drive like 30 miles to work.
You drive even more than me, yeah.
Yeah, I drive a lot. And so my challenge was to only consume Christian media while I was in my car.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't just music, it was podcasts, whatever.
Yeah, preaching podcasts, like sermons from a church called Transformation Church. They're from Texas somewhere. Anyway, I've just found them recently. Really good stuff.
Nice.
And so that was my challenge. And honestly, it was quite hard.
Yeah. To go into like, was it the music that was hard to just like turn to when you went in the car type thing?
Yeah.
Because you wanted to listen to like some rock or whatever?
Yeah. And then the other part of it was tough was because like, okay, I get sick of the music or like trying to find good Christian music.
Trying to find something good.
And then I'll listen to preaching for like an hour and a half. And it's like, I mean, the longest podcast I listen to is 2 hours. And then even then I skip through like parts of it because I'm just bored. You know, you
Yeah.
get bored with a conversation that's 2 hours long. So after listening to like an hour and a half of preaching, not to say that God's boring, but like any length of conversation that long, it
Yeah.
gets a little exhausting. It's just like, it's like if you went to see a movie, but it was just one conversation the entire movie. Like that would get boring eventually.
Nothing ever. Yeah, it's still going back to
And
the
it's
same
good
thing.
stuff. But
Yeah,
it's
and
just-
there's a lot of different topics in the Bible you can go through, so it's not like it's the same thing that
Right.
preachers are talking about, you know.
No, but it's just it's making that transition from like listening to whatever you want, whenever you want, like any kind of podcast. So I listen to drama podcasts a lot. These like serial type podcasts.
Yeah.
Not serial the podcast, but like you know what I mean. I don't like the podcast. But
There's a podcast about cereal?
no, it's called Serial. It's a crime.
Oh, I was about to say we
podcast.
already did that.
No.
Okay.
Different kind of cereal. No, but like the podcast that I listen to, they're story podcasts, and a lot of times there's
Yeah.
language and stuff involved in those. You know that
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
per se Christian.
Yeah, I mean, they're
it's-
dramas,
right?
yeah.
And it's like a TV show or anything. And so it was weird making that transition from like that mixed with some like Christian radio show that I listened to, and just the blend of things that I listen to, with rap music, or not rap music, rock music, country music, and that kind of stuff, to purely Christian media. So just
Yeah.
like Jesus music, and preaching. And so,
It's almost like you had your parent with you this week and was like,
yeah, it's like
it
if
was
I
like you were
rode the
being your
entire
own,
week.
you were being your own strict parent.
Yeah, it was like if
this
I rode
week.
with my mom the whole week, that's what it would
Yeah.
be like.
Yeah. So your mental state, do you feel enlightened? Do you feel lighter?
So yeah, that was the
Happier?
whole reason I did it, was to see how it would like change me mentally. Mm-hmm. And after like, okay, the first day was hard. The second day was really cool. You know, felt
Really cool.
Yeah, it was like you felt kind of energized and like uplifted. Third day was like that. Fourth day, I was like, man, I really want to listen to some country music right now. But I didn't.
or-
I pushed through
See,
it.
for me, there would be some song I really wanted to hear.
Yeah, exactly. That was
just
it.
wanna
And it
hear
was a
that one.
country
Yeah.
song of all songs, but it was just like one that was stuck on my brain. And then day 5 was like, daggum, I'm getting really bored of all this preaching. Like, no offense, Jesus, but I want to hear a storyline that I haven't heard before.
I feel like I've been to church every day.
Yeah, exactly.
This week.
Which is kind of ironic since I work at a church. I literally have been to church every day of the week.
Man.
Yeah, so it was tough towards the end, but I think overall, like, it definitely did improve my mental state. Like, I was
good.
less negative
Okay.
about things and was thinking more positively, and I think I was more compassionate and empathetic or sympathetic. Depends. on-
Empathetic is when you feel you've felt that before.
Yeah, well, both, because
Yeah.
you know,
Okay,
it just depends on the situation. But I just mean in
Yeah.
general towards people, I felt more compassionate towards other people and more considerate of other people's feelings and mindsets and that kind of thing. It just made me a little more aware of other people. So it really, I guess you could say it wasn't as much for me as it was other people, sort of like the way I thought
Yeah.
about. It was more about it changed how I looked towards other people and less how I looked at myself, which I guess is kind of the whole thing. You're supposed to be outside of yourself. Like that's a lot.
Not disassociated with yourself.
No, definitely
Don't
not.
actually be outside yourself.
Yeah, don't do that. It's not fun.
Do you recommend this? Do you think I should try
I
it?
would think, I would recommend this to anybody.
Okay.
It's tough.
I mean,
For
yeah,
sure.
it'd be tough. The music would be the toughest thing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The music would be very tough for me to go just listening to like Bethel or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure you listen to like more contemporary stuff though,
Well,
right?
I
Not
listen.
just worship.
Okay, so I did listen to like worship and stuff and some contemporary stuff, but I kind of cheated a little bit
Oh.
because on day 4 when I was like, man, I really want to listen to some country music or something, I put on a Reliant K album.
Oh.
So I was like, it's still Christian.
It is still
And
Christian.
it was like,
I mean, like
it was album number 1, so it was even more Christian than some of their, like, more pointed Christian than some of their other ones.
right. Yeah, I mean that's what I was thinking. I was like, is he listening to worship?
Well, I
whole
did
time? 'Cause,
listen to a
whew.
lot of that kind of stuff, but not like worship.
That's slow to listen to that much. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and then I've got this other artist that I was listening to. His name's Joel Ansett.
yeah. I
don't know how
you
you
thought about
pronounce-
him. Yeah.
Yeah, me and you talked about him the other day, but he's Christian, and some of his songs are more like they're obviously Christian, even though they don't necessarily say God or Jesus in them. But like the topics of them are really
Yeah,
Christian.
yeah.
So I listened to those songs because I really like those songs. Like he has some other stuff, but I didn't listen to that because it's more about girls or just life or whatever. So I didn't listen
Yeah.
to that. So
But his stuff musically is a lot different than like your typical worship stuff.
Oh, yeah,
so
it's
you
just
can,
like acoustic
You can get a little
pop,
You can get a little
rock stuff.
variation.
yeah.
To your.
So that was my only two like cheats, I would say. But even that is not. I mean, that's still Reliant K's like happy sound and stuff is not depressing emo music by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
So
I'm gonna do
overall,
I should do the opposite and see if I feel like worse towards people if I just listen to a bunch of like hateful music for a week.
That's probably not a good experiment. That's the opposite of what you should do.
I just don't like people anymore. I mean, that honestly like could be like why I feel certain ways certain days if I just listened to or took in a bunch of like media that was just like really like anti everything type stuff, like some punk rock that I'm listening to or something.
Right, and I think the thing about it is we don't realize how much that stuff like affects our mental state, and even stuff that's not necessarily bad. You know, like there's music that's kind of indifferent. It's just like a love song or whatever. But I think even still, I think a lot of it's like the heart of the person behind it, which is, you know, a little bit spiritual or whatever you want to call it. But like music, the same type of song from a Christian artist versus from somebody who's not a Christian artist, I still think the music affects you in a different way, even if the topics were the same.
No, yeah, I agree. I think there's certain songs like on the radio nowadays, if I listen to them a good bit and they're very like, and a lot of the guy songs, as much as Hollywood wants to get on to people for being sexist these days, the guys in these songs are like super sexist and objectify women. So like, yeah, the songs are like terrible when you actually listen to the words, like they're talking about girls. And then I might feel more like that way towards women if I listen to that stuff a lot.
Yeah, more
you know
lustful
what I mean?
and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
like look
more,
at women as like sex objects kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally. And I've kind of realized that before too.
Yeah. I try to stay
Just
away
from
from music
taking
with
in that
like
stuff.
more sexual references.
Yeah, I don't listen. I mean, because most of that's hip hop anyways, and I don't listen to hip hop.
Yeah.
Or
Or
I don't really enjoy it anyways.
Pop either.
Yeah, pop's pretty bad about it. But no, typically like I listen late. I've made my own Amazon Music playlist lately, so I've been listening to to like old rock and then just like pop punk and stuff. Which pop punk isn't really objectifying women very much. It's more just like,
It's like
baby,
emo.
Don't break my heart.
I hate this town.
I hate this time. Yeah,
You just sang the lyric of like 50 pop punk songs.
Yeah, in the same like nasal.
Yep,
key.
exactly.
Yeah, I should try that. That's interesting, and that's really tough because you and me have both talked about this Christian music these days and how it's pop music but worse as far as the actual music.
Yeah,
the
the actual
new stuff.
music. Yeah,
I mean, the lyrics become super hard to. It's hard to get influenced by some of these lyrics when it feels like I've heard the lyrics a billion other times.
yeah,
It's like,
there's a lot of problems with Christian
just
music these days.
rewording.
We kind of mentioned it when we talked
Yeah,
about
we had talked about it before
when we were doing the Christian music or Tumblr quotes kind of deal. Mm-hmm. But
yeah.
I think that's definitely a big problem with Christian music. It's like it's so much symbolism that you lose the point of it.
Yeah, it's like we're trying to make it so it could be about a girl right now. It could be.
Or it's like it's those things where it's like high water flowing through the air. It's like, okay,
set fires to certain things. It's like,
yeah, it
what are you
sounds
talking
really
about right now?
spiritual, but then you listen that you actually read it. It's like this doesn't make any sense.
There's a lot of setting fires to things.
And
Burning
a lot
certain
of
things.
water, a lot of water,
Fire and water, wind.
earth, sky, the last Airbender.
What is that song where it's like, oh, so will I, where it's like the rocks will.
Oh, yeah, I actually
Love
really
You,
like
So
that
Will I.
song though.
I do like that song a whole lot, and I've heard people sing it in churches, and it like gets me like fired up a little bit.
Yeah.
So like, it's got some powerful words, but there's a lot of like rock, water type stuff in that.
Yeah,
song.
there's a lot of references.
But that one actually makes sense. That one's actually good.
There, a
you
lot
haven't
of
heard
people,
So Will I,
a
check
lot
it
of
out.
people had a problem with that song because it says
Yeah,
evolution, and
I've
you
heard
know,
that, yeah.
we Christians cannot say the word evolution.
Yeah,
I read the-
unless our churches are evolving.
Whoa, Ben, you can't say that. Evolution is of the devil. You can't talk about that. Can't say that word.
slap. Okay, I got some Christian problem questions for you. Okay, you ready? if offering is done every Sunday, because a lot of these big churches are doing offering every Sunday, Joel.
That's how all.
Right?
I thought all churches did offering every Sunday.
No. Not back home. We did it once a month.
Oh,
First
really?
Sunday of every month. First Sunday of every month.
Oh, we did it every week in my church.
So I guess this question might not be directed towards you, but I'll ask it anyways.
Okay.
If offering is done every Sunday, does it become too much of a ritual and become less significant? Unless if we did it the first of every month or whatever. To me personally, I feel like it hits me a little harder because if I do it every single Sunday, I get more in the ritual of drinking the juice and let's move on. You know, I'm not like really like focusing and letting it hit my heart like I should.
Oh, communion. Okay, what was I thinking? I was thinking something else.
Oh, I said offering.
Yeah,
Oops, I meant communion. Sorry, not offering. We did take offering every Sunday.
I was like, your church
I was
only
throwing the
took
whole
offering?
question off.
But that's still a valid question for offering too. We can answer both of those.
Yeah, I guess you could do offering and communion. For some reason, I said offering but meant communion. But yes, both.
Okay, so our listeners are confused now.
Yeah, our listeners are confused now. Let me start my question over and fill in the blank with communion.
Yeah.
If communion, which is, you know, drinking the juice,
yeah.
eating the bread. I don't know why I was saying offering. In a way, it's kind of Jesus' offering to us.
Anyway.
If all... I'm trying to tie it together. If communion is done every Sunday, does it become too much of a ritual and become less significant? Was my question. Because what I was trying to say earlier with the big churches that I've been to, they do communion every Sunday I've been there.
Okay, so I do think so.
Okay.
I think it becomes too much of a ritual.
I don't like doing it every Sunday.
It feels
just
weird to me because it's like
I need to get in the right mental state for it.
right. It's like that's supposed to be like a really intimate moment with God. Like that's the way it was set up and stuff, and the whole thing that it represents and all. It's like I think it should be more special than a lot of churches treat it as.
Yeah, and it becomes a thing that like phase over. These big like mega churches that I go to in some of these bigger towns, they do it too, where it's like, oh, just take it whenever you want in the next couple minutes.
Yeah,
and it's like I'd rather us like the way our church back home did it, where it was like the preacher would say a certain verse, we all take the juice at one time, and we all eat the bread at the same time.
Yeah.
After we like say a certain thing, or he reads a certain bit or whatever.
Yeah, the church
just like, oh, just do it whenever you want.
The church that I go to, they have a traditional and a more modern service. So the first one is like all the old people and stuff, and they do the offering. I mean the offering. Dadgummit, you done messed me up, man. The communion. They do communion every Sunday, and to me, it's just like, but why though? Like, what are you trying to achieve with that? Like, are you really like getting into God and having that special moment every single week? It's just a little hard for me to believe.
Yeah, there's no way. Yeah. And it's just, it's almost something like I could do even like one every couple months. It could be even less time. And like, that's when I feel like it really like would hit you.
Yeah, I think
you know, it's like, oh man.
Because it's less frequent.
I really have to it takes me a bit to get in that mental state. You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
yeah.
You have to like really focus on the word, really focus on what you're doing, because you have to like see it in your head what this represents.
Right, you see the importance of it,
and that takes a minute. That takes some focusing.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, I don't think it should be done every week. But we can go back to the offering too. I know I screwed up the whole thing by saying offering, but offering is another thing that we definitely do every week, and that possibly could be done less as well.
Well,
because a lot of people aren't going to give every week.
Okay, so the problem, with smaller churches, I get you don't have to do it every week. But with bigger churches, you have expenses like staff and all this stuff that has to be paid every week, so I get it. But a lot of what the modern churches are going to, and the church that I work at, we're transitioning to a...
You're transitioning. No.
Oh, no. No, we're moving towards a...
We're evolving.
Yeah, oh gosh, no. Oh gosh.
What's worse?
I don't know. I need a synonym fast.
Give me that thesaurus. Thesaurus. Thesaurus.
I need that Stegosaurus Rex right now. No. What we're moving towards is like you set it up to auto give a lot. Because for one thing, people forget.
People have apps now. Churches
we have an
app.
We have an app at the church I work at,
which is really impressive. Yeah, it's really awesome.
But the other thing is like it's easier for people to keep up with their giving, how much they've given. taxes and all that stuff. But I think because it's sometimes I feel like because it's like people can't see what you're giving, you feel sort of less pressured, and so you may not give as much. But I think ultimately it's better for the church as a whole because it really shows the heart of the people that are giving. Like, it's more representative of what they actually feel, and not like, oh, the guy beside me just gave a 20, so I guess I better give at least a 10 or something. That kind of deal. I think it's more reflective of the actual heart condition of the people at the church, whether or not they get more money, which isn't really the
heart condition.
Yeah, that's what it's saying.
The heart condition. It's like, what do they have? What kind of heart condition do you have?
You need to double condition and shampoo your heart.
No, like that. Jeez. I meant like mitral valve prolapse.
You got a mitral valve prolapse. You can speak from the heart about that.
I have a Sir, I have a heart condition.
You missed my...
I can't give this week. I have a heart condition.
The condition of my heart is bad.
My next question, why is cross jewelry so cheesy now? And not even just jewelry with crosses, but just like cross things.
Because we overdid it.
I guess, but like, well, if I see a cross necklace now, I'm like, no, I'm not going to wear that.
Well, okay. So I say it like this. There's a couple of ways of thinking about this. For one thing, I think all of these like modern pop stars and all this stuff wearing the cross is kind of like the devil's way of like diminishing its value. Like, everybody wears it doesn't mean anything anymore.
That's part, yeah, and I think a lot of it is like these gang members and stuff wearing crosses and stuff, and it like
it's cheapened.
I don't know, it's cheapened the cross jewelry, like wearing a cross, having it tattooed on your arm, whatever.
Yeah. I think that's a large part of it. But the other thing is, then you have the other side of the coin where you have the Christians who wear it all the time and are like Bible thumping Christians, and like, if you don't repent of your sins, you're going to hell with the signs and all that stuff, which is true, but like, that's not the way to go about it, which we talked about in our last special episode. It's like, you have the overly preachy Christians that they wear the super, like, the t-shirts with the cross on it that says, Jesus is my friend, is he yours, and that kind of stuff. And it's like, that's so cringy.
Yeah, that's also what I was going to lead to from this cross stuff, is that the Christian clothing stuff with the quotes on it and the pictures and stuff is just really, really like, it's really lame. I don't know.
It is. It's so bad.
And maybe it shouldn't be.
It is though, because it's all these like knockoffs of Christian of actual brands and stuff, and half the time they're not even like close.
Jesus.
They're such a stretch. It's like, why? Why are we doing this? Can't our actions and our lives speak for themselves?
It's some like logo that's like some like famous logo, but written like Jesus.
Or it's like the Nike logo, and it says "Just pray to Jesus" instead of "Just do it." It's just like not even close. Like, did you even try?
Just pray to God, please. Thank you.
I just want one of a turkey on it. I don't want a turkey on it that just says, "Jesus, please bless this turkey." That joke it wasn't supposed to be funny. It was just, I just want a shirt that says that.
That's it. Jesus bless this turkey. I used to think the ones that were funny were like the lettuce, and it says like "Let us pray." Like, that's pretty funny. That's a good play on words.
Yeah, at least it's sort of clever.
But the ones that are just like Jesus take the wheel, and it's like a car or something. I don't know.
It's like a sports car, and it has Jesus take the wheel. Like one of those old memes with the top and bottom text.
Yeah, it's the graphic designs on a lot of the Christian shirts that are bad, because they look like they were just cheaply done.
Yeah, they really do.
Some guy really didn't know how to work Photoshop very well.
The Jerseys brand T-shirts, the worst quality T-shirts too.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so bad.
Jesus is my solid rock. It's just like a big boulder or something. Now, my dad used to have this. I don't know if it was a T-shirt, but it was something in the gym, or in their like gym they worked out in when they were younger, because I used to see it on the wall in there, and it was like Jesus. It was Jesus bench pressing, or Jesus with the cross on his back in like a bench press position, and it was something about. It was something about like encouraging you to lift.
I lift you up or something like that.
Yeah. Oh no! It said something like bench press this, and it had Jesus with the cross on his back in like bench press position. I swear it was something like that. And I used to think it was like really cool visually, but it was just like
super cheesy.
Wow.
I looked up a couple. This one's Faith Book. Jesus, add his friend. And then this one.
It's a bunch of stuff that like moms would think are like really cute to get their kids.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna love this one. He loves Facebook.
This one says Jesus died for my space in heaven, and then it has a verse under it.
Okay, actually, can I tell you something real quick? Faithbook.me is an actual website that you can create an account on. If you guys want to check out Faithbook social network, you can add me. It connects Christians. Actually, there's a login with Facebook like ad thing at the top.
Wow.
You can log in with Facebook to Faithbook, guys. Just letting you know. Oh my gosh, that was all my like questions. Did you have any like good Christian questions that you developed or no?
I don't think so. No,
I guess we talked about
that was all my stuff.
We talked about the music stuff.
Yeah, we talked about music stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry I completely confused everybody with my one point. But, sometimes you write down things wrong in your notes and then you read it back. Offering, communion, come on. They're both things we do.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome back, everybody, to episode 22 of the Butthole Town podcast. This has been a very special episode.
Guys, don't forget to wipe. Don't forget to not do drugs, and don't forget to, it's okay. It's okay to just get a little serious now and then. Don't be such a goofball all the time. Seriously, your mom's like, go get a job. Read a book, get out of my house, wash your clothes, and now and then you just gotta say, Mom, I'm trying. Like just let them know just let them know you're trying. You're giving an effort. Okay.
All right.
I don't know what that. Do you want me to keep going? Because I don't feel like I rapped. Let me just keep saying stuff. Guys, your mom loves you, okay? Jesus loves you. Your doctor loves you. Your therapist loves you. And if you don't have a counselor, we've been talking about that. Maybe get one because they will also love you.
All right.
Don't rely too heavily on medication.
Okay, let it end already.
Okay, I'm sorry.